Broadcasting to the U.S. and around the world by way of clear digital audio, 22,500 miles above the planet. This is the Global Star Radio Network.
Making America smart again. It's the Krieger Files with Dave Krieger. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Listen to the Krieger Files and learn from your mistakes. It's the government's worst nightmare. Krieger.
And you ask yourself why that is. Why is that so? The government's worst nightmare. I don't know. We just like to pick apart the news. It's like eviscerating a chicken, you know, where you slit it open and tear out its guts and analyze it, look at it and go, does it have H5N1? Nope. Okay, let's eat it. Oh my goodness. What a day. Thursday. Is it raining where you are? I know there's been a lot of storms and tornadoes headed across the Midwest. That's nothing like what happened on Wall Street, of course. See, investors, slime balls. Yeah, I hate to say this, but, you know, when Dow drops 1,500 points in a day after Trump's Liberation Day, you got to love that. In fact, all three major stock indices saw declines this morning. And, you know, I'm sorry, but that's just the way they are. They knee jerk about every little thing. Somebody says boo and they freak out and everybody starts selling and they start, wait till they start shorting stocks. That should be interesting, right? The entire CDC FOIA office has been fired. Oh, wow. So if you're going to do a Freedom of Information Act request to the CDC, that's the Centers for Disease Control. You know, I mean, what news do we have to report today? I mean, what I'm not reporting is gonorrhea cases are up in assisted living facilities. Yeah, the CDC's not reporting that. So, but you know, that kind of hanky-panky does go on in assisted living facilities because there's people running around with dementia and, well, things get a little carried away. So be careful if you're putting your elderly parent in one of those things because you never know what they're going to succumb to. But the entire CDC Freedom of Information Act office is poof, gone. They're centralizing the structure. And of course, now you're not going to be able to send them a Freedom of Information Act request. They're probably going to change the address is what they're going to do. And they're going to compartmentalize it somewhere else. It's not going to be isolated. They're going to actually monitor it so that people will know when you send a Freedom of Information Act request to somebody that you're going to get a positive response, hopefully, and you're not going to get what we call a document dump where they redact every single thing. This is problematic too. This happens in foreclosures, same way. I'm going to be posting shortly part 2 of Pleadings 101. This is going to be a 3-part deal because I'm going to go into full tilt boogie on a specific court case where the bank's attorney, they think they're all that plus a bag of chips, started out with the scumbag David Stern, and then he got pulled off the case, and then it went on to somebody else. And we had a judge actually do the right thing. And that's one of the reasons why I want to bring the case up. Because, see, if you analyze, and this is the danger of all of this, if you analyze a foreclosure case that won and you figure out how to do it yourself, 1,500 other people, once they figure out what to do with a foreclosure, they'll jump all over it. And they'll plead those same pleadings trying to win their case. And not always will they be successful because the legal community, and that includes all the judges and courts across America, are looking at the win, just like the homeowners, and going, oh, we can't let that go on. Now we got to stop that. And we seem to have a lot of third-party junk debt pools out. And you know they're third-party junk debt pools. You know how I know that? I'll give you a little tip for those of you doing your research. One, you're probably going to find them listed either in New York or Delaware as an LLC. It'll have the name of the junk debt pool as an LLC, and it could be even old, like 2007-1. Could be something like that. I mean, I couldn't find it on the SEC when I was looking for it this morning. So I have to assume that Bank of New York Mellon, I call them Boney Mellon, Boney Mellon. Yeah, I call them that because that's exactly what they are. They're a shell company, and when you knock on them, they're empty. That's like knocking on a head and there's no brains there. That's kind of the way I look at it. It's a shell company that's running front for a third-party junk debt pool that's trying to steal the homeowner's property by claiming, well, the homeowner, we own the loan, and yeah, prove it. Prove the homeowner was in default. If it's a legitimate remix, see, that's how you know, because legitimate remix can only stay open 1 year. That's IRS Internal Revenue Code 26 USC 860 D through G. Write it down. It's in there. So, anyway, back to the economy. I don't know what is going on because everybody is picking fun at Elon Musk, of course. And they're saying, oh, yeah, he's leaving Doge sooner than later. Nope. He's a special government employee, which has a 130-day limit, all right? Now, because of the fact he's doing what he's doing, you would anticipate that his EV is taking a beating. Well, it did. Tesla vehicle sales fell 13% last quarter. The EV maker said it delivered 336,681 vehicles in the first quarter, making it Tesla's worst quarter since early 2022. Now, that would be because of, COVID. And it continues to face fierce competition in the Chinese market because everybody's wants to buy one of those bites, or what do they call them? Pieces of junk. Not made in the USA. And those of you, of course, that went out and got a deal on a foreign vehicle before April 2nd, you got a deal because it did not include marking it up to accommodate a tariff. And of course, this is why everybody's freaking out, because of the tariffs. The clock is ticking, meanwhile, for a TikTok deal. Saturday's deadline is looming for TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance to sell the app or face a U.S. ban. Several new bidders have reportedly emerged, and guess who? Yeah, Amazon, AppLovin, Oracle, Blackstone, Andreessen Horowitz, and the founder of OnlyFans are all said to be among the bidders vying to take over the app that convinced you to freeze dry your nerd gummies. Yeah, they did a lot of other things too. The TikTok challenge, like, go put a belt around your neck and hang yourself in a closet till you pass out. Here, have a Tide Pod. Stupid is as stupid does. And, you leave it up to the younger generation to have to put up with all this garbage. Understand that the bigger picture here is when you're dealing with the youth out there, they think it's real cool to stick something in their mouth and walk around like, they're nobody's business. That nobody's business. The Supreme Court has unanimously ruled for the Food and Drug Administration in a lawsuit over flavored vapes. Federal Appeals Court ruled a year ago that the agency violated federal law, but that's not the case. They threw out the lower court decision, finding the FDA had broken the law when it denied two companies permission to sell flavored vape products. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about e-cigarettes, they're battery-powered devices that, heat liquid containing nicotine. It's an addictive chemical, so it can be hailed as vapor. Vape supporters, of course, say vaping is less harmful to health than smoking traditional cigarettes. I have my druthers about that. The court's 9-0 opinion in the FDA's versus wages and White Lion Investments was written by none other than Justice Samuel Alito. The FDA's rejection of the applications is sufficiently consistent with the guidance it offered other companies that applied for their approval of vape products, according to the justice. So, understand that vaping is not all that good for you, but people are going to do it anyway. Because vaping, I think, is cooler than just a pinch between cheek and gum. Because then you get the vulgar habit of spitting into a pop can or something, And And people, it just looks gross. Chicks don't like it. You know, if you want to have a chick maggot, go get yourself an old English sheepdog and take him to the groomers. And man, I tell you what, you walk them in the park and girls will be all over you. How do I know these things, Krieger? You know, where's he going with this? Hey, if you're all looking for a job, guess what? The FBI is hiring. Guess what they've done? They've shattered their application record in Kash Patel's first month. 5,500 new agent applications have poured into the Bureau, nearly double the monthly average since 2016. Gee, I wonder why that is. Because you got cool people like Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, you know, you're going to get to hook up with him because he's in charge of hiring. And you get to, you know, help restore confidence in federal law enforcement. Because as you know, the FBI way back when, we're nothing but habitual liars. You know, I mean, I could say I speak from experience. You have to, once you know what the FBI does and the fact that they have a propensity, it's really funny. There is a statute called 18 U.S.C. 1001. Okay, understand what that is. It's a felony to lie to a federal enforcement officer or government official. It's a felony, 18 U.S.C. 1001, all right? Look it up if you don't believe me. But it's okay for them to lie to you. See, it's a little weird, you know? That's why a lot of people have a hard time trusting the government. So, Kash and Dan, you guys got yourself a little bit of work cut out for you, right? And we, of course, have federal judges interfering with what's going on. Every time Trump does something, somebody pops out, some judge pops out, and like the one that halted the shutdown of Voice of America, even though Carrie Lake says, hey, it's kind of a losing proposition. It's blowing out a lot of money. Well, J. Paul Etkin of Southern District of New York issued a temporary restraining order in favor of the Voice of America employees and their unions. You see, all they had to do was file a lawsuit and get a judge. You know, they're going to look for somebody. And so they also filed the suit against Victor Morales, its acting director and special advisor, Carrie Lake, because they don't want to go away. They like all that money coming in. They like preaching democracy when we live in a constitutional republic. I mean, you think these people would know better, right? I mean, if it's a constitutional republic, it cannot be a democracy. And I'll tell you what's really weird. We had another judge blocking the Trump administration from firing federal employees on probation in 19 states. This one's Judge James Bredar. Found the administration likely broke laws regarding or regulating on mass terminations of government employees. Oh, well, he's a Baltimore, Maryland judge. You got to figure libtard state, libtard judges. And this is just what they do. Interfere with what Trump's trying to accomplish. But hey, it's all part of the game. Everybody knows it. It's what they're doing. Democratic-led states have also sued to block Trump from 11 million, or billion rather. Let's put a B instead of an M, and we'll have a BM. How about that? Yeah. Wait, we need to literally give Washington an enema. That's the only way Washington, D.C. is going to have a BM. You know what I mean? But Democratic-led states have sued to block Trump from $11 billion in health funding cuts. You see, once you get on the federal teat, and it doesn't matter whether you're a recipient or an agency or whatever, you know, all this $11 billion that was canceled in federal grants to states were allocated during the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, since it's not there anymore, why do these states insist on keeping the money? Attorneys general and governors from 23 states and the District of Columbia, well, there you go, right there, filed in federal court in Rhode Island, libtard state, not friendly to homeowners. I haven't seen one case in the last 10 years in foreclosure in Rhode Island where the homeowners won. Supreme Courts don't like homeowners. Nobody likes homeowners. You're either rich and you pay your bills every month, and if you get into trouble, you might as well pack up and leave the state of Rhode Island. Not going to do you any good. Courts are not going to be nice to you. It's just the way it is. Judges there are, well, you fill in the blank, okay? So they want to claw back all this funding the states had already built health programs around. That's why they filed the lawsuit. You got to love stuff like this. It's crazy. And of course, one of the other interesting things that happened out there, consumers in Los Angeles County, okay, we're going to shift out to Libtard, California. They were shocked as a new quarter-point sales tax kicked in, ostensibly to raise funds for services for the homeless. Yeah, it went into effect following a referendum in November. LA voters passed Measure A, which replaced and increased an earlier countywide sales tax for the homeless. That tax passed a decade ago, failed to stem the growth of the homeless population, and may even have encouraged it. Well, of course it is. Seriously. 2 cities in the county, Lancaster and Palmdale, are now paying a sales tax of 11.25%, the highest in the U.S. Oh, my. And the homeless, see what I mean? For those of you not watching on the screen, I have my hand out because this is what they do. Hey, man, I got to buy some more drugs, man. Come on, give me some of it. Oh, far out, man. Hey, you're really cool, man. You're as cool as a cucumber. Oh, yeah, well, Cucumber Head, they used to call me. Yeah, Cheech and Chong, I know. Yeah, you got all, I mean, this is what they're doing, right? You see homeless people, they got their tents parked on the sidewalks. They crap all over the place and smoke pot and do whatever. And they just want a handout. And the taxpayers, I don't get it. How are you stupid enough to vote for stuff to encourage homelessness on the streets of LA? This is why California is going down the proverbial toilet. All right. Yep. Phone lines, by the way, are open. 717-300-1698 is the number to call. 717-300-1698 if you want to talk to the almighty Todd and get on the air to talk to moi. You can do that. And we'd love to talk to you. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you knew this or not, besides Val Kilmer died at 65. And apparently, you know, he sowed his wild oats a lot, according to all the media tabloids, but whatever. You know, it was fun when he was in Top Gun. You know, you can be my wingman. Yeah. No, you can be my wingman. No, you can be my wingman. Yeah. So whatever. You know, people like it. It's military. People get a charge out of it. And hey, when you hear it in surround sound, man. No. So King Charles, let's move across the pond here. How many people know he's been hospitalized again? Cancer, again, flaring up. He's 76 years old. He had to cancel all of his royal engagements slated for the following day. It was a bump in the road, according to health officials. So, oh well. And of course, he didn't want to step aside because I don't really think that he is ready to turn the reins over to William. And Harry certainly isn't going to get any of that. I'm just wondering when he is going to actually come out and just, slap this, him and his little wifey, whatever her name is, the former Suits paralegal turned lawyer. My. I mean, she was good during the flick, but then all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, she latches onto this guy and just wrecks the crowd. Now, there's a lot of people out there that, they think just like that. They think she's a disgrace. They hate her. Hey, they got their own social problems. And now, for those of you health nuts out there, states are now getting into the game. Health and Human Services has already said, when it comes to federal food stamp programs, I think we need to stop allowing people to buy soda pop. Well, the states are now jumping on board with this, believe it or not. They, in West Virginia, they're asking the USDA for a waiver that enables the state to prohibit using food stamps to buy soda. And they'll start doing it in other states too. So just, you shouldn't be able to buy pop. So just like drugs, cigarettes, nicotine, shouldn't be able to buy cigarettes with food stamps either. And you can't. So just thought I'd let you know that. there's something else too, because, people have been writing in, and I appreciate that. If you go to the KriegerFiles.com, put the in front, otherwise you're going to get Google popping up going, it's the KriegerFiles.com. If you want to send me an email, you go right ahead, because I will respond. And people have been writing in asking about legal research because of the Substack page. And I focus a lot on that, because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any, right? So since this show is all about things that are legal, financial, and consumer oriented, and yes, we will try to get L.A. Marzulli on. I know we've had numerous people writing in asking if we could bring him back on to talk about the Nephilim, which is okay. That's cool. I don't know what it has to do with what's in your wallet. But the thing is that people need to start preparing, because you just don't know about the backlash. You don't know if, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to work. These people are the ones that you were depending on to fund Social Security for all those right now that are drawing it. And the people who are drawing it are freaking out, thinking, well, wait a minute, if this is only going to be around 3 or 4 years, what am I going to do? How can I protect my assets? The banks are on a massive land grab. 10.3 million homes are affected by this. Now, I want to talk about a very important thing while I have, and we'll continue this on the other side of the break too. We're going to talk about whether or not it's the right time to form an irrevocable trust versus a family trust versus a revocable trust. And those of you who are interested in looking at the process of punishing judges who commit egregious acts, like throw law books at homeowners from the bench, that start screaming, yelling, and ordering the bailiff to throw somebody, physically manhandle them, and why that judge did it, why the judge, I showed you a picture on my Substack page of an attorney who was just simply trying to get a motion. And the judge says, I don't want to hear it. He could have just said, I'm sorry, I'm denying your motion. Go on. We're done here. I'm sorry, I'm denied, motion denied. No, he didn't do that. He had the bailiffs grab the guy and throw him on the ground. He's got a heart condition. His wife is screaming. She's an attorney too. And they're just trying to stick up for their homeowner that they're defending in court in a foreclosure case. And the judge orders the guy put in handcuffs and led off to a jail cell. Now, how do you punish a judge like that? Well, a lot of these judges, see, Florida has a state risk pool, but they also sometimes, these judges, I know the sheriff's organizations, they have their own bond. And people were asking about judges' bonds. They've been writing in asking, how do we punish the judge if he commits an egregious act? Well, you can call him out on it. And I wrote about it on the Substack page. If you become a paid subscriber, you would be able to read all those juicy details. And of course, those who really want to get into this thing nuts and bolts, we share that information privately. We don't like to let all of our trade secrets out, because if we did that, then, people would be recklessly suing judges and trying to remove their bonds. And they're doing it because of the fact they didn't like the way the judge ruled. So instead of filing a motion for reconsideration or appealing the judge based on an error, they want to just go for the jugular. And sometimes that's a big mistake, because you haven't exhausted all your administrative remedies first. So remember, that's important, to exhaust all the remedies first. So now we're in this situation with 10.3 million homes, and then the servicer sends you a letter and they say you're in default. Should you believe it? That's another trick. Seriously, it's a trick. They're trying to trap you into admitting you aren't making the payments because I lost my job. My husband had a heart attack and died, and I've got what's little left of the insurance money, or he left me intestate, and the servicers don't care. They're looking at your house. How much equity you got in that house, Grandma? Can we take it? Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, Grandma didn't think so. But you see, these banks don't care. They're ruthless, and they don't care. They don't care who they sell it to. And this is one of the reasons why I asked a friend of mine down in Florida who, he was like, well, what do we do next? I go, well, if you're asking me what I would do, file a debt relief action and do a subpoena ducis tecum on the title company that participated in the theft of your house and ask them who got paid at closing and tell them to send you closing statement. Oh, you wouldn't believe what we found on that closing statement, folks. We just unzipped the bank's fly, and I'm going to tell you about that 90 seconds away when we get back from the break. Stay right there. You're going to love this. Dave Krieger here. Are you having issues with your credit? With interest rates as high as they are now, this would be a great time to invest in yourself by getting a copy of the Credit Restoration Primer. So when mortgage home interest rates finally do come down, you'll have already taken the necessary steps to get your credit score where it needs to be so you can move forward in life. Thousands of consumers have benefited from the Credit Restoration Primer, and you can too. Go to cloudedtitles.com today.
Many Americans are growing increasingly concerned about the rapidly growing U.S. government deficits, recognizing the additional printing of paper money devalues U.S. currency. To compensate, American gold and silver coins will provide wealth protection. U.S. Coin Capital provides physical gold and silver coins delivered directly to our clients. You can reach us at 1-800-878-2646, uscoincapital.com.
Need a document notarized even when one or more of the signers is out of state? What a faster way to close your real estate deals by getting your documents professionally notarized online at professionalnotaryonline.com. For more information and to book an appointment, visit professionalnotaryonline.com or call Aaron at 941-400-8282, a trusted Krieger Files partner. Good in all 50 states. That's 941-400-8282.
Taking back America, one consumer at a time. It's the Krieger File.
Okay, we are back at 32 after the hour. I know you're ready for this juicy tidbits of what we're doing. Here's the thing. I have told people, look, all you got to do is just go into the land records if you don't have a copy of your mortgage. Because some people don't. They flat out did not get them at closing, or they lost them. They put it in a file somewhere. They don't know where it went. They got a copy of what was recorded, but they didn't actually get a recorded copy. So we're going to do a little legal here. And, trust me, we don't give legal advice on the show, but I'm going to share some information we uncovered in a foreclosure backstory. And you're going to want to hear, you're going to want to pay attention to this. You run the numbers in your head. I'm going to lay the scenario out. Here's a guy, goes out and buys a house. He lives in the house for a while. He gets behind in the payments. He fights the foreclosure himself, pro se. He had the help of an attorney once, but then he had to fire him again because the attorney was worthless. But he fights this foreclosure, and for the last 5 years, he's renting his house out. He moved out. He went somewhere else. He moved somewhere else. He owns another house. He's renting out the house they want to foreclose on. For 5 years, he's collecting rent payments. Talk about passive income. And he's in court litigating this thing. Well, finally, they managed to steal the house. And see, because MERS was involved, if you see MERS on your mortgage or deed of trust, it means your loan was securitized. That means it's part of that multi-quadrillion mess of mortgage-backed securities out there that most of them have probably already been paid off or they've been sold over and over again. And like I said before, a $500,000 mortgage nets the securitization industry $7 million. Now you know why everybody wants to be in the investor world and be a servicer, mortgage loan servicer, because they're collecting money hand over fist. But if they're a registered security with the SEC, that'd be the Securities and Exchange Commission for those of you that don't know what SEC stands for. The revolving door in Wall Street. Yeah, that one. If you're not registered with the SEC, then to me, you're a third-party junk debt pool. And you're there just trying to rip people off. And a lot of these third-party junk debt pools bought their toxic loans from Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, through the FHFA. And so this guy in Florida calls me up and he goes, well, they finally, sold my house on the courthouse steps. Okay. Who bought it? Well, this bunch out of Connecticut. Really? Okay. And what was the sale price? $161,000. All right. Keep that number in your head. $161,000. And who was the seller? Deutsche Bank Trust Company Americas. I call them douche bank for a reason. Deutsche Bank Trust Company Americas as trustee for Residential Credit Loans, Inc., Mortgage Asset-Backed Pass-Through Certificates, Series 2006 QS8. Now, the series number is important here because, see, if it's 2006 QS8, that means that this was done later in the year, and late in 2007, according to the Internal Revenue Code, that REMIC trust closed. Done. So what's the servicer doing when somebody can't pay their mortgage loan? Well, the servicer has a contract with the trustee, Deutsche Bank. And the servicer every month has to advance payments. So if the servicer is advancing payments to the investors and the investors happen to be paid off, what happens to the money the servicer gets? Do they put it in their pocket? You ask. I mean, this is important information. If you're not listening, you should be. You should be telling your friends that are facing foreclosure. They should be listening to the show because we're going to be getting into that a lot more as time progresses. So the guy's house gets sold by Deutsche Bank. They're the seller on the closing statement from the title company. Now let's talk about who got paid. All right. Altisource Holdings got $750 by wire. Altisource Online Auction, Inc. got $8,050 of the $161,000 sale price by wire. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's real estate agency. Yeah, they got a check for $4,830. Premium Title Services of Florida. Well, you got to have somebody putting the whole thing together, right? $1,626 by wire. Real Home Services and Solutions, Inc. got $2,415, as did REO Management, LLC, got $2,415. Simplifile got by wire $165.50, and then they got another $1,415.50. Westcor Land Title Insurance Company got $264. And of course, Aquin Loan Servicing and PHH Mortgage, who were servicing the loan, got $146,610.37. I am reading it off the closing statement, the posting summary that was done through Fifth Third Bank by a guy named John Morehart, who was the closer at the title company. All these people I read to you right now shared in the ripoff. Now, I looked down the list because I see Aquin got another $113 besides the $146,610 out of the $161,000 sale price. How much did Deutsche Bank, remember who the seller was? How much did they get? You're looking at the TV screen right now? That's how much they got. Zero. Why didn't they get paid if they were the trustee? Why didn't they get paid? Because the trustee gives the money to the investors who were allegedly defaulted on and they were going broke. Oh, look at the money we're losing. We've been harmed financially. Really? You sure about that? The servicer is responsible for paying the investors, but nobody's looking into what the servicer is doing because it's a sleight of hand, right? $161,000 or 146 is what they got out of that. 146, 610 and some change. So if they're getting all the money and Deutsche Bank's not getting any of the money, where'd the money go? You see, Deutsche Bank can't get that money. Why? Because it would violate their tax-exempt remix status because the Internal Revenue Code says the trust closes in 1 year. Okay. You understand what I just said? If the remix trust in 2006 closes in 2007 and there's defaults left and right, the servicer is shelling out money left and right and paying the investors. They have to. It's under the advances column. There's a little thing in the 424B5 perspectives advances. And it basically says whether the borrower, who is supposedly the homeowner, whether the borrower pays the servicer or not, the servicer has to make the payments. But here's the funny thing. Do you remember when you filled out the loan application with your lender and the lender said, we're going to sell the paper, and you didn't put two and two together and think that, oh my, I think we're going to, is our loan going to be securitized? What do you mean you're not going to portfolio it? Oh, really? Yeah, we're going to sell it. What they don't tell you is that you are nothing more than a third-party accommodation to a securities transaction, and they are the broker. And they have to put up 5% of their own money, and guess who gets paid at closing? The originating lender. You know, the one that says lender, and guess who the borrower is? Not you. No, they make it look like you're the borrower because, see, then they have a mortgage contract and you just pledged your house. What you did not realize is that when you filled out your loan application and you turned it in, they evaluated that loan application, got all your credit scores, your credit history, your W-2s, your 1099s, all that stuff. And they converted it into a bond and pledged it on Wall Street, turned it into a security. Yeah. And the originating lender got all their money back plus a commission for setting it up. Now, they've been paid off already, but is there a release, satisfaction of mortgage, deed of reconveyance? Nope. No, you signed a 15 or a 30-year fixed rate or adjustable rate mortgage. You didn't know that they were doing this to you. They'd already been selling your loan multiple times as part of a pool of loans on Wall Street, multiple times before you even went to the closing table. And people aren't smart enough to figure it out because nobody's doing the homework. Well, I'm doing homework. We have a team of people doing the homework. We have people who have actually won their houses from the banks as part of the team doing the homework. So for those of you that, don't put a lot of credence in what I'm saying, I have a closing statement right here that says Deutsche Bank didn't get a dime, yet they sold the property. Aren't they entitled to getting some money? Doesn't Deutsche Bank, when they file the complaint in Florida, they have to be, they're the plaintiff, all right? Aquin and PHH isn't the plaintiff. They're the ones paying the law firm under the table. But no, the plaintiff is listed as this Raleigh Trust 2006 QSA. Yeah. So, the judge looks at it and said, well, are you in default? When's the last time you made a mortgage payment? And it's like, and homeowners are like, they're freaking out. They don't know how to answer the question. The proper answer to the question might be, because I can't give legal advice, Your Honor, you're doing such a great job of prosecuting this foreclosure case. Why don't you come down here and take his place? This guy over here is lying to the court about the fact I'm in default. He hasn't proven I'm in default. He has a servicer who's really paying him under the table, and the servicer is paying the people who claim they're harmed, and this whole filing is phony, Your Honor. And all I got to do is get discovery, and I will show you, Your Honor, that you're being hoodwinked. Well, they can't have that because the banks are bankrolling the judges. Yeah, they don't want to piss off the banks because if they do that, the banks will bankroll their opponent in the next election. My God, we can't lose our power. Yeah, I mean, look at the judge in the Credit River case. Oh man, yeah, he just dropped dead. Mysterious circumstances 6 months after he ruled in favor of Jerome Daly, and Jerome Daly got disbarred. He got a free house out of the deal because he actually proved that in front of a jury that bank didn't loan him anything. They created credit out of thin air, but people still just run to the mortgage company. And see, like I said already, we have Nation Star, which has subsumed Rushmore Loan Services, the management company, Roosevelt Management Company. And now that entire conglomerate is about to be purchased by Rocket Companies. Rocket Companies. You remember Rocket Mortgage? Yeah, I guarantee you, you go to Rocket Mortgage, you will not get a portfolio loan. They will take your loan application and they will process it, and it'll go into a security, into a pool of loans, and they'll start making money out of it before you even get to the closing table. And God forbid you should change your mind and say, you know what? I'm not going to do this deal. And then you get some pissed off home seller, who wants to sue you for specific performance. But the thing is the financing has to be structured in such a way, and I've done this before. No MERS. You don't sell the loan. You don't securitize the loan. You hold the loan. I actually did that, and I bought a house in Florida the very first time for about $200,000 less than what they were asking for the house. And I told the bank, if you want to sell me the house, fine, but you hold the paper. You don't securitize it. I mean, I put it in writing and they accepted it. But you got crap like this going on when some guy loses his home, and Deutsche Bank is the one who actually said they were the seller in court. We're the plaintiff. But see, Deutsche Bank didn't get any money. They can't, because the IRS would come in and audit them because they violated their tax-exempt status as a REMIC. Crazy, isn't it? Eric in Missouri, glad to have you back on the show. How are you?
Thank you. I just wanted to remind some of your listeners from your previous show that Brent Johnson from Freedom Bound International has what they call a common law lien that secures the liener's interest in his own property. And he says you can put like $3,000 a year for every year you lived in your house, plus the improvements you made and your equity. And that lien is paid before the banks or the mortgage gets paid. So is your case like the other gentleman you were talking about. That way you get the equity and that out of your house, plus, so I thought to remind people of that.
Huh. Okay. And have you used this common law lien?
No, my house is paid for, but I guess if I borrow money on it, I'd do that, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't like common law liens. I don't like common law liens. Okay. That's Eric. It's Patriot games is what it is. We've been there, done that. Many of my friends went to prison. A lot of them got prosecuted for pulling crap like that. They're trying to put themselves in first position. We found a better way. I actually had a CPA come in, and what he told me, you ready for this, Eric? I don't want to shoot you out of the saddle here, but I got a way better idea. A way better idea, Eric. You go to Wyoming, because Wyoming, when you create LLCs, they're like into thin air. And the LLC creates a mortgage contract with you for the value of your house. And the LLC, of course, nobody knows you own it. And even if they tried to find the LLC in Wyoming, these things are hidden. Nobody can find them. All I know is there's a Wyoming LLC that has a lien against my house. That's one way, besides the irrevocable trust and all the other stuff that we talk about on the show. But the thing is that if you get you drop a contract, just like a regular mortgage loan with monthly payments, nobody knows. And you record the lien. You have a guy in Wyoming, your guy in Wyoming, he's the guy that actually receives service of process. You have him, you send him the document, say, here, record this in our land records. Here's the fees. Here's the money. And he records a lien for about 90% of what the house is worth, because you have to accommodate for, margin, plus or minus 10%. And so anybody that comes after you for money at all, they look and they go, oh, there's already a lien on it. Forget it. He doesn't have deep pockets. He's got a mortgage. He's paying X number. I mean, this guy came up with it. It's a CPA, came up with a brilliant idea. And I'm like, how do you like that? It's better because it's a contractual lien. It's not common law. It's an actual lien that's created to look like a mortgage, but nobody's keeping track of the payments. Who's going to go look up your bank account? See what I mean? I mean, who's going to know?
Those LLCs.
Who's going to foreclose on you, Eric?
Well, but once you put it in an LLC corporation, doesn't that turn it over to the state? You're kind of like the renter of your own.
You don't get it. Business. You don't get it. You're your own person, right? Your LLC becomes a lender, and they loan you, Eric, this money on paper, and they record that lien interest, the LLC does, in the land records in the county where you live, and you allegedly owe this LLC money. It's you personally that owes them money. So you just made yourself judgment proof. You follow now?
Okay.
You're not, it's better than a common law lien, because see, once you show everybody that you've got that there are deep pockets behind you and that somebody else has a lien interest on your property, you virtually have made yourself judgment proof. They got to do a hell of a lot of digging, and good luck with that. Getting any information out of the LLC. And I mean, who's going to demand payments? Is the LLC going to foreclose on you when you own the LLC? No. The property doesn't own the LLC. The LLC has a lien interest. It's not the same thing as title. Eric's name is still on title. It's just the LLC has a lien interest against it.
Okay.
Oh, this guy, the CPA, is pretty creative.
That's probably be part of the straw man thing, but
whatever. I mean, who's going to know?
Okay.
I mean, the CPA came up with this. I was at an investor workshop when he brought that up, and I'm going, boy, that's novel. And I actually got the kit that shows you how to do it. I'm just like, this is so cool. I appreciate your call, Eric. See, the thing is about the common law thing and the patriot thing, I have a real problem because judges, when you start filing court pleadings and you call yourself by name, the living person in the image of God, the judge is going, Jesus Christ. He's got your number. He knows where. Oh, it's one of them sovereign citizens again. Well, we'll show him a thing or two. Coming into my administrative court, trying to pull this crap. Yeah, we'll show him. Yeah, see, this has happened so many times. I remember the first time I was working a case in Bastrop, Texas, and I went in to talk to the county clerk, and she goes, hey, you taught my class at Texas Clerk School. And I said, yes, I did. Thank you for remembering and reminding me of that. And she goes, that was really educating. We didn't realize how serious all of this was. And she said, what brings you in here today? And I said, well, I'm looking up a particular property owner to do their chain of title to see what's there. And when I gave her the name of the owner, heads started popping up behind desks, out from file cabinets and everywhere. And you could see their heads, their eyes were just bugged out. They're like, oh no. And I'm like, okay, what did I just step in? They said, I think we need to show you something. And the county clerk pulled out all of her documents that she filed, trying to convey the property back to herself out of a mortgage and reconvey the property. You're not allowed to reconvey the property. Read the contract. Oh, yes, I blank. I won't mention her name. A living woman in the image of God. And I am literally just losing it at that point. And I'm shaking my head. And you know what? The Bastrop County clerk in Texas looks at me and goes, you see what we have to put up with? I said, you know, the sad thing about all this, ma'am, you got to record all this stuff. I said, this is stupid. I said, the bank could just You'd be in breach. By filing crap like this, you'd be in breach. I had a homeowner in Tennessee. She goes and she co-signs with her friends in Washington on a deed of trust in Nashville on a home. And for some strange reason, she got it in her head after she signed the deed of trust at closing that maybe that wasn't a good idea, even though her friends were on the deed, the warranty deed. She quit-claimed her interest off the deed to her friends. But she signed the deed of trust, the security instrument, and she signed the note. You know what she just did? And the deed of trust had not been recorded yet. She just deceased herself from the estate. And the attorney handling her foreclosure case had zero idea that this actually happened until I called him up and brought it to his attention. And you should have heard that. He had that moment. Yeah, caca. Oh, yeah, that moment. Yeah, he had it right there. He looked and he goes, "Why did she do that?" I go, I asked her and she said she was afraid that she was going to have some judgment liens against her. And he said the same thing I did. And this is an attorney I'm talking to. So that's why, I have attorneys calling me because I consult them on cases about stuff like this because it's just crazy. We don't mind doing the research if it helps the attorney win. That's what we're here for. Help homeowners win. We don't want homeowners doing stuff like, I'm going to substitute the trustee and name me as the trustee. You just went into breach of contract. You're not entitled to do that. They can immediately foreclose on you for breach. That you don't need to be in default. And besides that, if your loan's securitized, you're never in default because the servicer is paying the advances every month. And see, all you have to do is demand the servicer's pay history and you can beat them. How many people know that? I guess only the people that listen to this show. And of course, we talked previously about the idea of putting stuff in an irrevocable trust or revocable trust or whatever the case may be. Trusts are great when the house is paid off. It's asset protection, just like that CPA's idea about putting a lien against it with a Wyoming LLC, giving you this alleged loan that's on paper. I mean, nobody who's going to come after it. They're going to go in the land records, see that you got a loan, and they go, okay, well, the guy's got, he's in hock up to his butt, so this isn't going to work. Can't sue him. He owes these people. I mean, they're not going to check. Any attorney that's doing deep dive into your debt structure is going to find it. So the thing is, if it's in a trust and the trust is mature, it's over a year old, well, good luck. I mean, you can file bankruptcy, according to the attorneys I've spoken with. And as long as it's in a trust for a year, they can't put it all back and make you pay everybody. I mean, so it's all sorts of weird ways this legal system works, It's been fun. We're going to try to get some famous names on the show tomorrow. But in the meantime, stay safe. Use your head. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. We'll see you tomorrow. Need a document notarized even when one or more of the signers is out of state? What a faster way to close your real estate deals by getting your documents professionally notarized online at professionalnotaryonline.com. For more information and to book an appointment, visit professionalnotaryonline.com or call Aaron at 941-400-8282. A trusted Krieger Files partner. Good in all 50 states. That's 941-400-8282. Dave Krieger here. Are you having issues with your credit? With interest rates as high as they are now, this would be a great time to invest in yourself by getting a copy of the Credit Restoration Primer. So when mortgage home interest rates finally do come down, you'll have already taken the necessary steps to get your credit score where it needs to be so you can move forward in life. Thousands of consumers have benefited from the Credit Restoration Primer, and you can too. Go to cloudedtitles.com today.
With inflation constantly chewing away at the value of paper money, perhaps it's time for Americans to bite back. Ownership of gold and silver coins provides great counterbalance to weaker paper money value. U.S. Coin Capital provides physical gold and silver coins. You can reach us directly at 1-800-878-2646, uscoincapital.com.
You're tuned to the Global Star Radio Network. Thanks for listening.